I freaking love the smoke genie. All right, guys, we're gonna talk about my current camera collection and why new gear doesn't really excite me all that much. Well, at least I'd say like new technology and sensors. Anyways, a lot of exciting things happening, including this new series, which I'm dubbing the Rambler series. Before I get into the rest of the video, the whole point behind the series is just to allow me to sit down and hang out with you guys and just kind of lower expectations a little bit, so I'm not out there just dropping like $5,000 on trying to create an epic cinematic video. Creating a series around this kind of just helps me lower my own expectations, and hopefully you guys are down just to hang out and chat and you know, have a conversation in the comments. Anyways, let's go over my current camera collection. I actually have a lot of cameras. I know my verbiage in the past on YouTube used to be around, oh, I'm switching to this, I'm switching to that, I'm switching to this. And that was mainly because, you know, I was working full time in like a commercial field. It was just easier for me to have one ecosystem, one camera brand. You're shooting every other day and you're on big projects and stuff. You don't want to be cycling in and out different cameras. But now it's kind of like I just own a bunch of different cameras because now that I'm full time on YouTube, I still take on commercial jobs here and there. One, if they pay well. Two, if they're jobs I actually want to do that won't make me miserable. Anyways, that's a different video. Maybe if you guys want to hear about that, let me know. So I pretty much own a camera from almost every brand. My current most used cameras, the LUMIX S5 2X. That's what I'm currently filming on. Once I got my hands on this this camera, it slowly like, it somehow like sneakily became one of my most used cameras. It was weird. Like one day I stepped back and I was like, wait, I've been using this camera for almost everything. It's great for YouTube type stuff because it has open gate, but all the tools that Lumix is giving us with like waveforms and anamorphic support and anamorphic IBIS, like all these different things where no other company's doing it, and we're begging all these other companies to give us these features and they won't. Lumix is kind of doing it. And then I have the new S9 obviously, which, you know, everybody was hating on. Reels, it's just so easy and it's less intimidating, and when I pick it up, it doesn't feel like I'm about to do some work. When it comes to other professional work and I don't have to use anamorphic, the FX3, the Sony FX3 is still kind of like my workhorse. So still on the Sony A7R5, but I think I'm going to sell that soon. We'll get into that. And that's it for the Sony stuff. For the Nikon stuff, this is where things start to get stirred up. The Nikon Z8. Yes, I worked with Nikon and I did a Z8 project with them, but that camera honestly is the best hybrid camera that I own. When it comes to video though, the video specs in the Z8, I think they matter because again, it's one of those companies are punching up to, like, you know, the other companies that have been crushing it. They are giving us internal RAW and internal ProRes. So yeah, the Z8, when it comes to video, amazing. Let's get more into the funner stuff, and funner is a word, I'm making a word. The Nikon ZF. I absolutely love this camera. This camera has taken over my photography end of things. Now, if it came to a professional job, like, you know, a commercial job, I'm not gonna use this camera. I would love to, but the only reason I'm not using it is because usually for commercial work, I like using anything that's over like 40 megapixels. This camera is just like, I don't know what it's obviously we know what it is. Like, it looks fucking cool. It looks badass. Not that it just looks cool, it's that it like feels amazing in your hands. We'll get into the the kind of rabbit hole that I've been falling into when it comes to Leica. And what I'm about to do. But this camera, when it comes to any like test shoots or fun fashion shoots or even possibly smaller paid fashion shoots, this is my go-to. Obviously, you know, we have the brass knobs up here that I sanded down. Even my shutter button up here, I made sure I found a brass version of it and I sanded that down a little bit. More importantly about this camera though, and also the Nikon Z8, Megadep has an adapter where I can use any E-mount lens on a Nikon body. And so the fact that I can still invest into E-mount lenses and still put them onto my Nikon bodies is amazing, because again, I still use a Sony FX3. We already know Sony's probably gonna come out with some epic stuff later this year. This kind of led me into hunting down more vintage cameras. Obviously, I still own the Fujifilm X100VI. Honestly, guys, I have not been using that camera that much. I'm contemplating selling it, but I don't know, there's like a romance behind it to where every time I pick it up and I see it, I'm like, I don't want to sell this. But honestly, I have not been using it. I think, you know, it can be inspiring in times, but it's just like, I don't know. Again, I have gripes with that. I think if you're looking at the X106, just stick with the X105. Also, the other things like the crop sensor. What I was doing on photo shoots is I had the X106 off my hip, and then I had the Nikon ZF where I could do like different lenses. This was kind of A cam. The X106 was like B cam. And a lot of times just the X106, the files and the look of the camera just, it wasn't pleasing to the eye in comparison to putting vintage glass onto the Nikon ZF. And so I just slowly stopped using it, and the Nikon ZF kind of took over for that. And I still love like, you know, shooting with Fujifilm, but again, when I put the full frame next to their crop sensors, it's kind of night and day, guys, especially when you put it fast vintage glass on any of these bodies. Like, it's just, I don't know, that to be another video too. Anyways, that will lead us into Leica. What got me on to Leica? I just, Pete and I were talking a lot about it. YouTube kind of planted the seed in my brain because it started to like push Leica videos onto me. Friends, Ben, Heish, Brandon, Jake, which usually he's wrong, but for once he was right. He called us almost a year ago because he got an M11 and we were shooting a video and he's like, bro, this is perfect. You're going to love this. And I was like, why? I don't get it. I get it now. You're right, bro. Sorry. The Leica M6. I found one. I paid $3,500 for this in a Voigtlander. Oh, it's on the ZF. On the Voigtlander 35mm f1.4 version 2. Mixed feelings about that lens. And then I went and did a photo shoot with it. I used this alongside the Nikon ZF, and holy cow, this camera speaks to me. I already did a video. I released it later last week. I'll upload it at 5 or 6 p.m. It didn't do well because I was just too excited to get it out there and I didn't care. But I'll put a link down in the description to that. Someone left a funny comment on the Leica M6 just stating, after a certain amount of time as a photographer and after you a certain amount of accomplishments and yada, 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 Leica just becomes a thing in your life. I've been shooting for almost 15 years, guys. Within like the first 2 weeks, I was shooting models. I was starting to book test shoots and yada, yada, yada. I've been shooting for a long time. And there's just something about this Leica M6 where it just keeps it, like all Leicas really, it just keeps it stupid simple. On top of that, the way they feel in your hands, the build quality, just like, again, the simplicity behind them. Yes, within like 2 weeks, I bought 2 Leicas. I'm probably gonna sell the M6 because no, I ain't got it like that. Also, I just moved as well. I've been spending way too much money. Holy shit, this camera is just stunning. We're pretty much at a point where any digital camera made in the past 3 years looks amazing and you can build a giant career off any of these cameras. So as sensor technology comes to a slowdown because, you know, like what else are they gonna do? It's gonna come down to, you know, the way the camera body feels in your hands, how it gets in your way or stands out of your way. That's what it's going to come down to. But anyways, that's why I'm kind of not excited about a lot of new cameras, just because it's like, again, they're all great now.